I remember when we were buying the house, I prayed and prayed and prayed specifically for someone,
for an honest real estate agent.
For an honest real estate agent, and for someone to come and who could walk us through the whole process, and where I wouldn't feel lost because I wasn't experienced in buying property. So,
right.
you know, John wasn't. He had
no idea. Yeah.
No idea. So, I mean, it was so comfortable. The whole experience was very comfortable.
Great. Yeah. Well, thanks. And you were really nice to work with too.
Yeah.
I mean, that made it really nice for me.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Well, at any rate, this is John and Tanisha Chum. They have a really lovely home here in Rosemont, and just due to job changes, they're moving to Pennsylvania,
yeah.
which is a whole other story.
Yeah.
Close to your folks, which
yeah.
is nice, at least your folks, John. And with the market being what it is, even though we got a really good deal back in 4 or 5 years ago, it doesn't look so great now. So regrettably, you guys had to do a short sale. And when you sort of called me up, we hadn't talked in a long time.
Yeah.
I sent a newsletter out, and you called me as a result of that newsletter, and you said, "Hey, Peter, I was just curious, do you do short sales? You know, is that something you're familiar with or would be able to help us with?" And
right.
I sort of laughed because for the last 3 or 4 years, that's, for better or worse, what I've had to specialize in, that's to help the people need. And I said,
yeah.
So we're getting pretty close to the end. You got boxes in your house, and also, I mean, what would you say this has been like so far for you guys?
It's been as easy as buying a house. I remember I contacted you. I was going to try and get a hold of you to get some advice on who does do short sales before I got the newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
I originally had thought, well, I'll call Peter up and just ask him, hey, could you refer me to someone who's good at short sales? And I got your newsletter, and it says Peter Parker specializing in short sales. So when I actually got the interview offers in Pennsylvania, before I even went to go do the interviews, I wanted to know what a short sale was, and I had heard awful rumors that if you do a short sale, you have to claim bankruptcy, or you could be responsible for the excess money you own. And I heard all kinds of stuff, and I thought, well, one person I trust that'll tell me what's going on with that would be you. So I think in January, prior to even on the interviews to Pennsylvania, I contacted you and just asked, what are the details of a short sale? What do I have to lose? What do I have to gain in the whole thing? And you probably spoke with me that day a good half hour, and you had gone over all the details of the short sale. You asked me what my situation was, and assured me that a short sale, what the cost and what the benefits were, and that I wouldn't have to claim bankruptcy and all the kind of horrible things I heard. So I went on the interviews to Pennsylvania, and I was lucky enough to get the job I want back there. And the day I found out that I got the job back there, I called you and said, okay, we're going to have to sell our house. What do we need to sign to get you on board with going through the process with you? And I think the house, you set everything up and you handled everything, and I think the house, we got an offer the second day it was on the market, if I'm not mistaken. I think it went on the market on a Friday, and we got an offer on Monday. And since that time, all I've basically had to do is return your phone calls. I've had to sign papers a couple times, and I think I had to fax something over to you once or twice. And that's been it. I mean, it couldn't have been more easy on my part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we were sort of lucky in that we got an offer so quickly. You didn't really get so many people coming through here with your young, family and all, where that was a pain.
Right.
And again, I'll point out that there was no pressure. I remember that originally we had talked about putting the house on the market a couple of weeks earlier, and I did, and I just said, you know what, could we hold off a couple more weeks until after I have some time off and I could straighten some things out, and we could talk to our neighbors and let them know what's going on. And you said, absolutely. Just let me know when you want to put it on the market, and we'll go from there. I mean, we didn't even have to have a discussion about it. You didn't ask for any excuses of why. That's fine. Well, call and let me know when you want to put it on the market. And I took some time and cleaned it up a little bit, and called you when it was time to put it on the market. And the next day, like I said, it went on the market, I think, April 1st, which was a Friday. and we had an offer that Monday, and it was just that quick.
So you haven't had to do a whole lot of talking to your bank and, all
I've
that
done
kind of...
nothing. I've done absolutely, I've not spoke to them at all. I have not had any communication whatsoever with Bank of America. I think I might have spoke with you. I spoke with you on the phone a few times, and like I said, I think I had to fax something over to you once or twice. We had to sign a paper once or twice. I might have put 20 minutes into this whole process,
right?
Which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear what other people are having to go through and how many times they have to call the bank and all the phone calls they need to make and all the things they need to get together, I put 20 minutes of time into this, which was returning a couple phone calls, signing a couple papers, and giving you, my taxes and my checks and that little packet of stuff I had to give you. Probably under 20 minutes of my time went into this. Well, not including cleaning up the house for showing it.
Well, even with that, you made it very comfortable for us, because me staying home with the babies, it was just hard I was thinking to have people just walk through my house at any hour of the day, but, you made it clear that we can make appointments with people and that everything would be done on our terms. And so it really made it easy. We showed the house on, based upon the kids' schedule. So, you didn't put us out for anything. And even when the guy came to take pictures of the home, it was all done on our schedule. It was too easy. It was very easy. So we really appreciated that.
And we look like we're right on schedule, because when you first called me, you said, I'm going to find out, probably late February.
Yeah.
If it works out, probably going to be moving in late June.
Yeah.
When you got the jobs, like, June 23rd or June 25th. You had the date nailed down. And that's looking like the way it's going to happen. And it's looking like, honestly, we're going to probably close escrow on this thing in mid-July, so you didn't have to scoot out any earlier than you wanted to, but it's not dragging on either. So, so far so good. It's looking like it's working out pretty perfectly as far as the timing on that goes.
Yeah.
It's been very smooth.
And we believe you're going to get $3,000 from the bank. We really believe you should. We're going to get a FedEx or some envelope's going to get delivered directly to your house, is what we heard today, confirming that. But you really should have that shortly, we expect.
And another miracle help financially, because moving is not cheap.
No.
And that should cover a good chunk of the moving cost.
Wow, that's really nice.
It's a long way to Pennsylvania, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I've moved across country several times myself, I'm sorry to say.
And I know if that does happen with getting that money, your assistant Alex put a good amount of time into doing that.
Wow.
Because I know he was pretty relentless contacting them, because I contacted them, and they're not easy people to deal with. I know that side of things doesn't really necessarily want to hand out $3,000. So Alex contacted them, and then he contacted them again. And if this does go through, I know because you guys, pushed it, put effort into doing that to help me out, which I certainly would appreciate.
Yeah. Now, in terms of what you'd heard from your friends, because I know when we first spoke, you said, I've got 3 or 4 friends who've done short sales, and my recollection is you said a couple of them had been successful, a couple hadn't.
Right.
You had some things you were worried about in terms of, am I going to owe my lenders money? Am I going to owe taxes? Are they going to, what's going to happen? Are they going to take money out of my bank account or whatever? So what were you guys afraid of? What were some of the fears you had, stories you'd heard about short sales before we spoke?
The horror stories were that they could come after you, even after the short sale was done, the bank still could come after you for the excess money that you owe.
Mm-hmm. Through taxes.
Right. So say the house was worth $300,000 and you sell it for $100,000, you short sell it for $150,000. Oh, if the bank had a significant amount of years where they could come after you for that money. So if I start making good money again 3-4 years from now, or we get our jobs together again, and the economy turns around, the bank could actually come after me to get that money. I had also heard that when you do a short sale, you almost have to claim bankruptcy, which of course I didn't want to do that.
Right.
And then that was almost a guarantee. And I have a friend that I know for a fact that happened, but of course I'm now understanding from talking to you that the details of why that happened aren't things that apply to me. Much different situation. I've heard that short sales could just take forever.
Yeah.
All kinds of stories of people through the whole process of a short sale for 6, 7, 8, 9 months, if not a year, and then the whole thing falls apart at the end. So I was just ready just to do a foreclosure and just walk away from it. And if it wasn't for my prior relationship with you, that's probably what I would have done, because I wouldn't have trusted through the whole thing. So now it looks like I'm much better off than if I would have done that. If I would have got into just walking away from the property. So
Yeah.
There's a lot more peace of mind in doing it this way. And from what I understand from you and from other sources, I won't have to claim bankruptcy. We won't owe any money after we walk away from the whole process. I'm not going to get a huge tax bill next year when I go to pay my taxes. So it's a lot of things off my mind that I don't have to worry about.
Yeah, and it didn't cost you any money either. I know some people I run into, they're worried, well, I can't do a short sale because I can't pay commissions. And, well, you don't have to. I can't pay for repairs, closing costs. And I sometimes reassure people, no, you're really not going to have to do that. And sometimes they just don't believe me.
Right.
So,
no, and it's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe
the banks and, like you said, it's hard to believe, it's hard to trust. And it's hard to accept that you're going to come out clean and be able to start over new somewhere else or somewhere down the road without any problems. So.
Right. Yeah. So you actually pretty quickly, I'm trying to remember if it was before we got your offer, after, it was probably right around the same time, you referred me to some friends of yours who needed some, at least questions answered, and by the time we answered those questions, they decided that a short sale was going to be the thing for them to do. And I mean, have you heard from your friends in terms of how that's gone for them and what their experience is how they feel about the whole thing?
Oh, absolutely. They feel the same way that we do, that everything has gone so smooth. They've been able to recently move into another place and start settling their family in again. They talk about how great you are, and we both love the way you keep in contact with us and help us with every step of the process. And just like John spoke about earlier, there's not much that we have to do or to worry about. You make things very comfortable. I would say, especially as a mother, with young children, you make it very comfortable for us, to go through the whole thing. So they really love and admire you and your team. So, and I talk to them quite often. So, yeah.
They were just over here yesterday. Yeah, they were here yesterday.
Yeah, they've been real fun to work with too, and I'm really glad we were able to help them so far. So if there was someone that came to you and, was sort of where you were a few months ago, wondering if maybe a short sale made sense for them, or, I'll just let it go back to the bank, I'll just let it foreclose, whatever, what would you tell them at this point?
Well, what I would say, my process of doing this short sale, realistically, with no exaggeration, has taken an initial phone call and about 30 minutes of my time since then, and no money. So to not do it, with the alternative being to just let the house go into foreclosure, to not do it, it absolutely doesn't even make sense. I mean, it takes me longer to pay my bills every month than to do the short sale. It was $0, 30 minutes of my time and a few phone calls. And we're going to walk away from this thing in much better shape. I mean, you can't even compare the shape we're going to be in after doing a short sale to where if we just would have let it foreclose. So, I would say you at least have to look into it and see what the situation is. But to not do it, I can't make any kind of sense of that when I see people not trying to do it. If there's situations similar to ours.
Well, I would just tell them to call Peter Parker, and ask him, ask you what to do, what's best for them, because I think, like I said earlier, I think you're really unique in this business, and I think you would be a gift to anybody, family, or anyone wanting to, move or sell their home, find a new home. I would recommend your team, definitely.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Call you, go over the details, get the feedback, look at it for what it is, and see what the cost and benefit is. But if it's similar to my situation, I mean, it's really a no-brainer how to go about this.
Well, that's great. Is there anything else that's a question or on your mind, or just something that stands out in terms of what you think would be helpful for other people?
No, I mean, basically just to call somebody such as yourself that knows about this kind of thing and that they can trust, and get some good advice, and to really consider the short sale, because there's not much to lose outside of a few phone calls, a couple minutes of their time, and no money. There's really not much to lose in going about that way. Yeah,
and for some people, they can actually stay in their home longer than if they just did nothing.
Right.
Yeah, which especially we've gotten some people, I hate to say it, who have done nothing up until almost the last minute. They're, a week, 10, 14 days away from foreclosure, which isn't, by the way, the easiest time to get involved to help them. But we've done it successfully. But take people who are literally like a week or two away from getting foreclosed on their home, to where now they've got some breathing space. They can stay there for 3, 4, 5 months
while you're working out the details.
Yeah, exactly. Make a smoother transition to wherever they're going to be, and
it's definitely the way to go. If I'd have known before what I know now, wouldn't even have been a question. I mean, the thought that I was even thinking about just letting it go now seems ridiculous. Couldn't be more happy with how this worked out.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the difference between someone who's just trying to get your business and trying to sell you something and get your money, and someone who's really trying to help out the client. So I think that's the real difference with your team and someone else.